All right, guys. So our next topic here is a little bit more of a fun topic. Nothing bad with this one as of yet, anyway. But most recently here, we've known for a while now that HBO Max and Warner Brothers DC they were working on a Batgirl franchise of some sort. Joss Whedon was initially on board with it a couple of years ago. Started working on a script for it, and they said that he was working on a movie initially. I think this was still going to be a movie. They might turn it into a series. I have no idea yet. But they were working on this, and quite frankly, we don't even know if this is still based on anything that Joss Whedon was working on, or if this is an entirely new Batgirl project. But nevertheless, they have just recently cast their Batgirl, and now we got wind just last week that they were casting a Commissioner Gordon and they didn't know who yet. A lot of people were making assumptions here that based on the ethnicity of the actress who they cast as, and I totally understand this too. I was even in the same kind of camp as this as well. Is that it? Maybe this Batgirl, because of her ethnicity, is going to be the daughter of damn it, what's his name? The Jim Gordon that is being portrayed by Jeffrey Wright in Robert Pattinson's Batman movie, which made total sense. But most recently here, an article came out stating that our boy J.K. Simmons is potentially in talks here to make a return as Commissioner Gordon in this Batgirl series for HBO Max or Batgirl project rather. We'll say because I think it's going to be a movie, but I think, there's still a solid chance that they might be making a series with this, in my opinion, just based on, they were making, because not only based on just the actress's ethnicity, the other thing was, they're making the Gotham I think it's a prequel, but they're making the Gotham spinoff series that is explicitly taking place in the Robert Pattinson Batman universe. So it did make sense that, okay, well, then maybe Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon's gonna come be a part of that Gotham series and then also be a part of this Batgirl series, and you have this little kinda offshoot Robert Pattinson Batman universe existing on HBO Max. Made a lot of sense. But now it seems to be that they are in some capacity actually, continuing and, downright expanding the Snyderverse, which is what I find to be the most interesting part about the potential of J.K. Simmons returning as Commissioner Gordon, because they could do a lot of things with this. And John, I wanna know what you think about this. They could just have J.K. Simmons come in because he's a great actor, he already played Jim Gordon before, and just, "Hey, you're gonna come play Jim Gordon again. How's that sound? Cool." And they don't ever reference anything that has to do with him doing anything in, the other stuff, and Justice League and all that. But why would you do that? You know what I mean? It's like you would obviously make the assumption that, okay, if J.K. Simmons is coming back to play Jim Gordon, that it's the same Jim Gordon. Like, right? Is that too big of a stretch?
Mhm.
So it is interesting that they are in some ways here. This is obviously just some assumptions and kind of inferring because of his potential casting, but looks like they're continuing on the Snyderverse in a little bit more of a way than, like, we initially expected, because we knew it was continuing on in existing properties like The Flash. We knew that was still coming, so, like, the Snyderverse was going to live on through The Flash and live on through Aquaman and even through Wonder Woman. But outside of that, nothing has been announced that, like, there was gonna be a Ben Affleck Batman movie. That's not happening anymore. He is gonna be showing up in The Flash, but we'll see what kinda happens with that. No talks of a Henry Cavill coming back as Superman that we know of. So, what are your thoughts on J.K. Simmons potentially returning here to play Jim Gordon in this Batgirl series? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's cool that, again, this is an assumption, but do you think it's cool and a good idea that they are continuing on this, like I said, expanding this, Snyderverse of Justice League, DCEU, whatever you wanna call it. You think it's a good approach?
Um, I don't know. Right off the top, let me just I love J.K. Simmons. I think he's great. He's great in almost everything he's in. Like I can't think of a bad role he's been in. So I would love to have him back as Commissioner Gordon. He really didn't get a chance to really play the character. I mean, he's in what, two or three scenes, and he did great in the scenes he was in, but he really hasn't had a chance to really give a full, I would say, perform. Gary Oldman got to play Commissioner Gordon over the course of 3 movies and did a phenomenal job with the character. I'd love to see, J.K. Simmons take in a more a movie that has him more as more of a focal point and also gives him more material to work with. Um, all that being said, this Warner Brothers is just the oddest thing in the world to me. They seem so dead set on cutting off any talk of there being a Snyderverse or a continuation of the Snyderverse. But this move is a direct expansion of the Snyderverse. You are using the Snyderverse character and you're bringing in another major comic book character, Batgirl, and expanding that universe to include this new character. And I don't know why. I don't know, I mean, besides the fact that J.K. Simmons is a great actor, like, yeah, but so, like you said, so is Jeffrey Wright, and Jeffrey Wright is already going to be Commissioner Gordon in the new Batman movie. Why not tie it to that? What because you are, by using an actor that's been in a movie that came out recently, you are tying it directly to that series, regardless if you want to pretend like it isn't or whatever. I mean, when fans see that, that's the same actor. That's the same, like, that's who that is. So I don't know. It's very strange to me. It's a very weird decision. The ethnicity stuff aside, like, because I don't even know the girl that was hired to play Batgirl. I don't know what her ethnicity is, but I thought she was um Latino, and so I don't know how they work Commissioner Gordon into that, because for those that don't know, Commissioner Gordon is Barbara Gordon's father. Like, that's, I don't know if they're planning on making her biracial and making her mother Latino. I don't know how they're working that in this iteration. But that aside, it's just a weird, like, if you're gonna continue, and maybe, you know, there's this other stupid part of me that hopes that this is a signal that, because Batgirls looks to be headed to HBO Max, that maybe Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League was a success, and this is kind of an indication that HBO Max is starting to lay the found work, or lay the groundwork or the foundations for a Snyderverse on their platform. So
Yeah,
I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong on that. That's a stupid thought, and I hate myself for thinking it, but because I'm just going to be disappointed in the long run. But
I don't think that's too crazy of a thing though. Like, there are people clamoring for it to continue in some way, and, like, honestly, if they could continue and expand it out more with HBO Max, so it's, like, a little bit less expensive, why not?
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Because making things like a Batgirl directly connect to it is not gonna be as expensive as making a Ben Affleck Batman movie, and you could still continue it on through the lens of Batgirl, and then, if this stuff picks up and, is actually good first and foremost, then you could lead to more stuff and, expanding it out. So I don't know, it's definitely it's an interesting approach. Because, I mean, we do
yeah,
know that Shazam and Black Adam are both supposed to take part in the same universe as the Justice League stuff. So, I do find it kind of odd, since they were, like, leaning more into the multiverse stuff, at least according to Walter Hamada, that it kinda did make some sense that, then why wouldn't they, if you're doing the Gotham series, have the Batgirl series tie into the Gotham series maybe, and then, then you have this whole little Robert Pattinson kind of thing happening, while you subsequently have the other stuff, the pre-existing DCEU stuff happening on the big screen. It kinda made sense. I guess it also makes sense that they're doing this. It is an odd choice, but I'm curious to see what comes, with, like, a franchise like Blue Beetle when that comes out. What world is that gonna take place in? Is that gonna be an offshoot thing like Joker? Is it gonna take place in DCEU? Is it gonna take place in the Battinson world? Like, I don't know. I think potentially
yeah.
they might eventually run the risk of things being a little bit confusing, but if they focus on just making good movies, that's really all I care about.
Do you think this is a response to the success of the MCU streaming shows? Do you think that that they're seeing how successful and how water cooling and how much people are talking about those and going, maybe we do need to have some sort of established universe. And so how do we start doing that? We bring back, the actors that people know from our previous shows,
I
previous
mean,
films.
it's possible. It's possible. We do know that I mean, Walter Amada came out a while back and said that their plan in general was to have what, like 5 movies a year, maybe 2 of them
Yeah,
be HBO Max projects and 3 of them be big screen projects. So this does link that kind of directly ties into and it can kind of confirms everything he was saying, but he never commented on what they would like where they would coexist, right? Would they be standalone stuff, DCU stuff? Because he said multiverse. But frankly, there hasn't been anything multiverse related outside of Joker and Robert Pattinson's Batman as of yet that we
yeah,
know of. So, because like I said, we know Flash, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, and Black Adam, all DCEU, the pre-existing stuff. And then Joker and Batman, Pattinson's Batman are the only 2 things that are multiversey right now. I mean, other than the Flash movie is like literally multiverse, but
sure.
we'll have to see what kind of doors that opens up there in the future. Like, so we're getting hopefully we get a little bit more of this information out at Fandom coming up here in October because that's where we got all
Yeah,
this information from Hamada to begin with, and he explained all what their vision was with this multiverse stuff. So hopefully he actually comments a little bit more on this stuff, and like when they do have something for Batgirl, explain what the hell's going on. You know, do what Hot Toys and Sideshow does not do and just tell us what kind of the plan is. Just a little bit
yeah,
of it. Like, yeah, we're gonna have this tie into this and then this tie into this, and then that's it. That's what we're doing with these. Like more news to come. That'd be great. You know, because
yeah,
like they do like I totally support the multiverse stuff, but if they don't tell anybody, it could start to get confusing. Like 100%.
yeah,
Like, as if they have J.K. Simmons come back in this Batgirl thing, and they go the route of not once referencing the Justice League stuff, it's gonna confuse people. Like, I would
sure.
be confused, and I know what the hell's going on, but if they have him in there, not once do they reference Ben Affleck's Batman or anything that happened to Jim Gordon or anything like that, it's like, well, why even bother bringing him back at that point? You know what I mean? It's like, it coulda just made it be anybody, so just not a choice. I hope it's good inevitably, so we'll just have to wait and see. The question is, so guys, what do you think about this? Are you happy that J.K. Simmons is coming back? Do you want them to continue on with the Snyderverse in any way, or do you think they're not and that they're just bringing him back and this is a multiverse version of J.K. Simmons is Jim Gordon and it's not the same one? You think they're going to go that far with it, more of a Loki approach kind of thing? Whatever you think, let us know down in the comment section below.